So thank you so much for being a guest today, Tim. I have heard so much about what you do, and I really understand there's so many times that your work is invaluable and absolutely priceless. And I wanted to give my listeners a chance to get to know who you are and what you do, because when they do run into a situation that you serve, they need to know who to call right away and not be going to Facebook and saying, oh my gosh, I'm so lost, I don't know what to do. And so I would love for you to tell us just a little bit about what you do and how you got into this industry in the first place.
Sure. My name's Tim Bruhn. I'm the owner of Bio1 South Sound. We are what we call ourselves a crime and trauma remediation or cleanup company. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that after the police have arrived to a scene where there's been a death, and after the coroner has picked up the remains, after the EMTs do their thing, we are the last responders. So we are able to come over there and do the cleaning so that families don't have to bear that burden. And yeah, that is one of the 4 things that we do.
One of 4. Okay.
Yeah, one of 4. How I got into this was I was in technology for 25 years. And like another 100,000 of my colleagues, I was laid off in a big tech layoff wave. Yeah. And I was sitting there at home with my severance and my unemployment going, well, what am I going to do next? I'm 52 years old. And if I try to go back into tech, I'll be competing with 20 and 30-year-olds that don't need as much money as I need. So, it seems pretty rough prospect. So to buy time, I answered the call for our local postman and was delivering parcels for him, just to do something while I was, thinking, because sitting around stewing was not helping my mental health at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so here I am, and the work is not mentally stimulating, but it's doing something. I'm getting some exercise, and I'm listening to podcasts. And on one podcast, I was listening to this lady who was talking about doing this kind of work. And it sort of struck me right in the pit of my stomach, this sort of dreadful sense of certainty that this is what I was going to do.
I love that. A dreadful sense of certainty. That's an amazing phrase.
You're sitting there going, oh, wait, to myself, really? You want to clean up after the deceased? That's your life's goal? That's your passion? And, it was. It wasn't just happenstance or just random that happened as well. I'm a volunteer firefighter and EMT for Anderson Island, where I'm stationed. Oh. And so as an EMT, we've been to scenes where there have been death, and people have asked, well, what do we do now? I just didn't have a good answer for them. Yeah, so this sort of squares that circle. We're the last puzzle piece, and that's why I call ourselves the last responders. Yeah, so that's sort of how I got involved with it. Additionally, I was trolling through LinkedIn, and I saw that my buddy John who was a product manager at the same company that I was at, started a fencing company. I was like, John, I reached out to him, John, you've never talked about your passion for fencing before. He's like, I don't care about fencing. I don't. But I do care about being outdoors. I do care about being my own boss, making my own hours. So I talked to a fellow named Jim Judy, who's a wrangler for franchisees. And so he put a bunch of companies in front of me, and I chose this one. And if you'd like, I'll introduce you to him. So I said, yeah, of course. So I reached out to Mr. Judy. I told him what my goals were. He put like 5 different companies in front of me, but I knew what I wanted to do. So we found the right company, and that's Bio1. Their ethics and their morals align with my own. Their company motto, our company motto is help first, business second. My personal motto is I live to give. So it sort of was like a match made in heaven.
Oh, that's such a great mesh. It's really important when those things collide like that.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's sort of the long and short of it.
That's the short version. So that one of 4 things you do is trauma and medical cleaning. What are some of the other aspects of what you do?
Another big part of our business is helping people with hoarding situations. So if you've ever seen the show Hoarders, where they have a dump truck or some dump rollaways, and you have 4 or 5 people go in and clean out a apartment or a house that has junk piled up to the rafters, we do that as well.
That's so important. I work with a lot of real estate investors. And so when you're getting a house, you're getting a house in whatever condition you're getting. And that may be full, it may be empty, it may be in a state of neglect, it may have squatters. There's all kinds of things that we run into.
Yeah.
And having your number in our back pocket is going to be very helpful.
Good. I aim to please. We're not a junk company. A lot of junk companies can do this sort of work. They just come in and they just grab everything and take it out of the truck and go. The way we distinguish ourselves is we hand out stickers and say, hey, if this is important to you, sticker it, we'll set it aside. If we find any photos, if we find jewelry, if we find cash, we'll set that aside. And so that's how we sort of distinguish ourselves.
That's very different because you don't want to just take everything and then, but there were mementos in there. There were heirlooms in there. Like, well, you said to make it go away, so we did.
Yeah.
So that's someone else. Don't call Tim for that.
I was on scene with one, and there were ashes. I was like, oh gosh. Oh. So I went, and this was not the owner of the home. This was his sister, and he had passed away. So I took these ashes to the sister. I said, hey, do you want to keep these? And she said, those are the ashes of his pets, and they're not my pets. Take it out.
Oh. You know, unless you ask and find out. Yep.
So you got to ask.
So important.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if it was just, we cleaned out the wood stove?
Yeah. Who knows? So biohazards are primary. Secondary is hoarding. We'll do things like animal filth. If someone has, just a place that has pets that have gone wild and just need help with that, we can help with that. Right. And so, not to be too indelicate, and maybe you want to edit this part out, but we also will help with human feces, which I've had a couple of calls for. Maybe you have an older relative that has some sort of problems, medical problems, we can help remediate for that as well.
That's definitely something that volunteer firemen, EMT, that you guys run into that situation.
Yeah.
It's not
for sure.
It's not a rare occurrence.
Not terribly. We are bidding on a job that should be happening either late December or early January. And again, this is a kind of a sensitive topic. It's for a homeless encampment remediation. Yeah. And, part of my personal morals, seemingly conflicts with that because that's not giving. It's not kind, but it is helpful. So I had to sort of lead with that in my own heart. So if we get this job, we'll go out there with, and we'll be partnering with NPOs that can go out there and help people that want to get help, that want to have access to shelters and food and showers and stuff like that. We went to the site with 7 police, sort of to keep security. That was their task force for the city of Kent. They went out with us, cleared the area. They had to make, unfortunately, 2 arrests because there were 2 people that had warrants out. And we saw this area was 5 acres, and it was just obliterated. So, I do say to people, if it's gross, if you don't want to touch it, if it's dangerous, call us because we have experience in doing this sort of thing. We'll take care of it.
Oh, that's so handy.
That wasn't the fourth thing. The fourth thing that we're going to be getting into in 2025, I tell people I can't wait to start doing drugs.
Okay, say more words.
Let me elaborate.
Yeah.
I went to Florida about a month ago where I got my fentanyl remediation certificate. So I know how to take care of that. And my general manager, who is my stepson, at the same time took meth remediation and got his education. So we have to jump through a few more hoops. But yeah, we will be able to start doing that sometime in early 2025.
That's fantastic. That will help a lot of people get homes habitable quicker, sellable quicker, and in all the history of the home, it will not have this big black stain on it. It was like, oh, no, don't buy that house. And actually, once it's been cleaned, it should be ready to go, right?
Yeah, except if it's meth and fentanyl, it's not immediately obvious. You have to go in and you have to test for it. So
Well, sometimes you
there
can
is that.
ask the neighbors and they will tell stories.
That is true. They will tell tales.
They will.
Um, so yeah, I mean, and if you ever have clients that are looking to buy into hotels or motels, uh,
Hmm.
dollars to donuts, there's at least one hot room.
At least. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can count on
Totally
us.
agree. Any multifamily, any large, more than a single family, you don't know the history of the home. You can't know everything
Mm-mm,
that has happened there. Yeah.
mm-mm. I had to turn down a job a few months ago from a friend of mine who's in insurance. And what had happened, it was painful because it's $100,000 job, and I had to turn it down, and it was meth. And the thing of it was that the apartment manager was cooking and selling and distributing.
Oh, oh boy.
Yeah, pretty nasty.
Oh boy. That's a lot of extra work there.
Yeah. Well, they'll put us on the fast track. We're like, these people need help. There's not that many
Yeah.
people that want to do it or can do it. So let's get our license for that.
Yeah. I'm so glad. So, what areas do you cover, or is there anywhere you don't go because some other piece of the franchise covers that area?
So the full name of our company is Bio One South Sound. I chose that because the acronym for that is BOSS, which I love. Um, the president of the company, when I said, hey, what about this slogan? If you've had a loss, call the boss. She's like, maybe modify that. Um, so we will help out all of South Sound. My initial thought was from Renton down to say Tumwater.
Okay.
But we're relatively new. We started the LLC in May and started doing work about 3 months ago. So at this
Hmm.
point, really, if it's Western Washington, you need our help,
Yeah.
we'll go out there. Um,
Okay.
yeah. I've had people say, can
All
you
right.
come to Ocean Shores? Can you come to Elwha? Can you come to Tokeland? Like, yeah, sure. Give us some time. We'll be out there.
Right. Let's figure out how it works on the schedule because drive time and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Are there any
My,
jobs that are just a 1 day project for you?
well, sure. Um, there was the client that had a human feces problem. She was a caretaker for our elder relatives. She was our niece. And there was a trail from a bathroom through a bedroom to a living area, a dining area, actually. And so my GM and I, my kid, Ian, we went out there. We sprayed down the area with our disinfectant, let it dwell. We call it dwell. Um, we took our scrub brushes and scrubbed, use our wet dry vac to, pick up any particles. We did it a second time. And that took us about 45 minutes, all told.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I was just envisioning what you do being incredibly time consuming, but apparently not everything is.
Not everything is. We had another job that was 1 day. It was a 9-hour job. Um, sort of similar. This elderly relative that passed away had a bacterial infection. We believe it was C. diff.
Oh,
Yeah. But he passed away at the hospital, and the descendants wanted us to just check out the entire home. So we used our fogger to, again, disinfect the entire house. So the fogger will have particles of our disinfectant. Literally, it will fog. So we went throughout the entire. It was a Rambler, so it wasn't too hard. We did the entire house. We fogged it. Then we took our UV light and shined it where we, in the bedrooms. And we saw when it glows. I hate to be too cute, but when it glows, it goes.
yeah.
So we saw stuff, and we let them know, this carpet here and this carpet here are glowing. We can just cut it out. And they're like, could you just take out the entire carpet and the padding
Oh.
and this chair where he put his clothes and this bed here? So yeah, so we can do that.
Hmm.
So we took our linoleum knives and we just started cutting. Fortunately, they had on scene some moving men, those little plastic discs. So we were able to move his super was a very nice house with very expensive furniture that's very dense. So, I have to use the moving men to move all that stuff. But that took 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah.
If it's
Especially
a
when
hoard, yeah.
Right? Because you're
If
walking
it's a
into
hoard,
situations you may not know how deep it's going to be.
yeah. And that's one thing we have to tell people. People frequently want to ask, they always ask, how much is it going to cost? And I can't honestly give them a good answer. I will tell them, what I will say is, we are in the thousands, not in the hundreds. And that will sort of inform people. And some people are like, okay. A lot of people will say, oh, that's not what I expected. And so we can kind of set those expectations. And then we say, I need to come out and see. I got to see with my own eyes what we're talking about. We do a daily rate. This could be 1 day, it could be 4 days, it could be 10 days. I just don't know until I come out and see. For regular hoards, it's usually 1 to 3 days.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. And so really each one is a custom job. Each one is a custom quote because every single situation is going to be different. The layout of the house could be different. And then how much room, which room, how many rooms, how many trails are there?
Yeah.
Right.
Is there a basement? Is there an upstairs we have to do? It all adds up to it. Do we have to remove
toilets?
It really
does. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to do that. So,
fun.
Yeah.
I did not expect that one.
No, yeah. Sometimes the toilet is so foul and broken that you have to clean it and then take it out. So we have to learn how to be quasi plumbers, or if it's really bad, I'll just call a plumber from one of my BNI group.
Right. I think you know a couple.
I do. Yeah. But yeah, that's
what are some other partner businesses that maybe once a consumer is just faced with this situation, like, okay, well, I know I need a specialist. What are some other people that you may call in to assist on your end of things?
Sure. So there will be times when there will be a death scene and the blood will go to the carpet and it'll go to the padding. Okay. And then sometimes blood follows gravity. So it'll go into the floorboards and it might even seep down if there's a basement. Concrete's porous, so it can even get into that. It might even seep down again to the basement level, so we have to do a lot of tearing up of things. So we take our Sawzall, we take, what we need to, we'll cut away all the bio, and it'll go into a red bag. I am not a general contractor. I don't know how to put the wood back. I don't know. I'm not a carpet guy.
Yeah.
So we need to call in a general contractor, someone that could, repair drywall, because sometimes that has to go as well. There's a possibility that we'll have to call in an electrician if that's been compromised.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So yeah, I'll need access to anyone that's in home services, because you just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, most commonly we'll be tapping into our general contractors to fix what we've had to take up.
Wow.
For hoarding, there's a different aspect. Some of the other franchisors offer this service, and I'm definitely thinking about it. For hoarding, some people do what they call aftercare. Because hoarding is a mental illness. It's actually related to they used to call it manic depression, bipolar disorder. So the things you learn, right? And so some of these franchisors will send out a house cleaner that they know and respect and trust, just to come out there every 3 or 4 weeks to help keep that place clean. Try to keep people, in a place where they're supposed to be, so they can be healthy and okay. Because a hoard, if you let it go, a month later or 2 months later, it's back. More often than not.
Because it's so hard to deal with the root cause. But if there's counseling going on and other support systems that come in place, and if you knew someone was coming over to give you help every week or 2 weeks or every month, it'd be a lot easier to deal with the root issue and then to make new habits so that it didn't go there again. So that would be amazing.
Oh, and I guess I should also say that a partner that we were going to deeply rely on is anyone that does rollaway dumpsters, or
Oh,
even
yeah.
a dumpster on wheels, a dump truck.
Hmm.
I don't have one. Maybe I'll get one in the next 2 or 3 years, and that'll save us some costs.
Yeah, depending on all the situations you run into, right?
Right. So we've taken a look around. We found a couple of partners that can do that, have 40-yard rollaways. 40 yards is a lot, but sometimes you need 2 or 3 of them, depending on what's going on. So yeah, big need for those kind of partners as well.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Gosh, thank you so much for your time and for recording this, because we never know what we're going to need as a homeowner, as an adult, right? We're always running into surprising situations as we grow older, our kids grow up, and then our parents grow up too. And if we need someone who does your services, I'm really glad to know you and be able to connect you to as many people as we may need to know, right?
Absolutely.
So, what is the best way to get a hold of you? Do you prefer people to call you, email you? Do you have a website filter that is easy to use?
If you go to bio1southsound.com, there's a way for you to fill out an email form, and I will get that relatively quickly. That's fine. And I'll email you back or call you back. But if you want immediate feedback, I'm great on the phones. I love talking on the phone. I know a lot of people a little younger than me can't stand it, but I'm not afflicted that way. So our phone number is 253-252-1330, and I will answer the phone. I don't put it on silent. Even if you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll slink away from the bed and I'll answer the phone so I don't wake my wife up. But yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And if anyone in the greater Puget Sound area, if you run into a situation where you need help, please do call Tim. Met him through networking. It's always been a blast to hear his stories and to also follow him on social media, because hearing your heart and how much you care about being able to be kind first, it really makes a difference, because we're not dealing with some big company who's just trying to, how much money can we get from a situation? We're dealing with a person who cares about the people in the situation, and that just makes such a big difference.
100%.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you at networking in a couple days.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Awesome.